The Jubilee administration exits the stage in under 2 months, paving way for Kenya's fifth government under a new head of state. In hindsight, infrastructure was at the height of its development policy, with the Transport Ministry recording expansion of road connectivity in the country by just about 11,500 kilometers. In his latest conversation with NTV, Transport CS James Macharia notes that the infrastructure expansion project has improved transport within Kenya and outside the country. As Laila Mohammed reports, he also addresses the downside to taking on such major projects and the question of the cost of it all.
The changing skyline in the nation's capital is a sight to behold for many visitors in Nairobi, and also a cause of concern for some critics who describe this city as one big construction site that has been ongoing in the last decade. The latest piece of hardware, the Nairobi Expressway, a 27-kilometer stretch of road towering and snaking its way through parts of the city, perhaps Uhuru Kenyatta's attempt at making Kenya as globally competitive while trying to fix the problem of traffic congestion that continues to hurt Kenyan road users every single day.
For me to fit in all these mega projects within the current physical framework, it required a lot of convincing. Number three challenge was to also inculcate the culture of public-private partnerships. Because having talked about the limited resources in government, we have to also look at now what other sources of funding can you get.
With a price tag of about 97 billion shillings, the expressway dwarfs the cost of constructing the 50-kilometer thicker superhighway, which cost 32 billion shillings.
Those bids must be competitive. You do not prescribe the cost of the project. Yeah? You do a feasibility study first, but then you actually put in a very competitive process. Even when you do the bidding and we have now the winning bidder, we must, as a matter of routine, do what we call value for money assessment. You look at the cost and look at the benefit. You do that extremely professional process. In some cases, we even hire an independent expert.
In the last decade, the Jubilee administration has undertaken other huge budget transport projects, most notably the standard gauge railway, which has in the last 5 years moved passengers and cargo from the port city of Mombasa inland to Nairobi, with the refurbishment of the meter gauge railway, connecting the old and the new means of rail transport into Western Kenya, extending into Uganda.
Before May 31st, 2017, this country had waited 122 years for such a project to be done, because the last project was done in 1895.
That project has been celebrated and castigated by admirers and critics who have insisted that it has killed what was once a thriving hauling business that moved the economy of the Kenyan coast.
When Jubilee took over, it was doing cargo of about 18 million tons per year. As of now, it's 36 million tons, doubling the capacity. And this has been done by creating more terminals. As you know, we've done about 3 or so additional terminals, which has got a capacity almost of the same the entire port had before.
The construction of the port of Lamu is another milestone that the ministry believes will increase the traffic of international vessels traveling the high seas with cargo that Kenya hopes will be easily transported via the Lapsset corridor, still under construction, into neighboring South Sudan and Ethiopia.
Today, I was discussing with one of the investors how they could now also invest in the water sector.
Whilst in the last 10 years, the number of international airports in the country has risen to accommodate the demand for air transport for passengers and cargo, the ministry admits that the Isiolo International Airport failed to take off immediately due to some challenges that have since been resolved to allow a key cargo sourced within the region leave Kenya into neighboring Somalia and other international markets.
We have developed what we call the BASA, the Bilateral Air Service Agreement with the new government. To negotiate it. I have signed it. I signed it last week myself. And we have given the ambassador, our ambassador to Somalia, to take it. They were supposed to come, but they didn't come to sign it here. So we've given it to the ambassador to go and have it signed in Somalia. When that happens, the planes will not be leaving Wilson with Mira. They'll be leaving actually Isiolo because the source of the Mira is that side.
Having expanded on the infrastructure foundation laid by the previous 3 administrations before them, the Jubilee team can only hope that ghosts of a negligent past do not come haunting the development agenda, leaving white elephants scattered in many parts of the country.
Come and put up industries, industrial area. Let the infrastructure sector be one of those areas where capital, foreign direct investment can come. Because we are a developing country, we don't have enough resources to do it through GOK.
Through titling of public and private land, the government hopes that this will be able to empower youth within communities that in the past were tied by fearing of not owning the land they sit on, which the ministry also says will be a positive document to have when the government comes calling, seeking to expand infrastructure. With valid certificates of ownership, compensation and relocation can become easier. Leila Mohammed, NTV.